What it do, y'all? Another new week, another new episode of Tech File covering the NBA Conference Finals and a little bit of wrestling on this week's episode. So let's get into it.
Hit him hard, let's go. Red T-E-C-K, running back like where's my replay? Got it all in the mix, no DJs. Said it's hard in the game like he did. What's the lady? Spitting real talk for the entertainment. The pots I stand the game up and I get stuck back down like a WrestleMania. Tell them that they better get their nose ready at a home city. And I'll get it block even on the low setting. And you know what you say, so we never gotta get tight than everybody else. They should get ready. Ain't nobody else doing this like I. Better keep them cameras and microphones hot, cause this one's a vibe. Gotta run this race with my tribe. I going live with the pie. Do it like it's no tomorrow. Came to my ear later. Shout out to my point guard. We about to hit them hard. Got them throwing in the tap. Tell the red blow the whistle. This is technical file.
Welcome to episode 391 of Technical File, the sports podcast you never knew you needed. Tim ain't here. I was like, what's this? The silence. That's Tim Fox. He ain't here this week.
He's not, but I am. I'm the RJ.
Only known as
The RJ.
And I'm Camille, point guard of the crew, the real life Tifa Lockhart, the girl next door. You know, holding it down for all the women who love sports. Kay Harris, the gentleman, is also not with us this week. It is a two-person show this week, so we ain't gonna even hold y'all up. After the housekeeping, we're gonna get right into it. So, if you are not yet already, make sure you are following us on our various social media platforms at Technical File, TECKNICALFOUL, on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. Technical File Podcast on Facebook and YouTube. On the YouTube side of things, make sure you subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you get alerted when we go live. We record the weekly show every Tuesday evening live on Facebook or on YouTube. My bad. Live on YouTube. Come be part of the show. We read the comments out loud, interact, all that good stuff. So come be part of the show as well. Now, as mentioned, this week's episode is going to be a heavy focus on the NBA Conference Finals and a little bit of wrestling talk. So without further ado, we might as well just get on into it then. So before we actually start breaking down the matchups in the Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals, I have a question for you. Okay. With the Wolves being in the Western Conference Finals, as well as the Pacers, two teams that were there last year, which team are you more surprised about returning to the conference finals, the Wolves or the Pacers?
My first thought is the Wolves, and that's more so because of the route that they had to take. Like, they drew the Lakers and then the Warriors, who were two of the, to me, strongest contenders in the West coming into the playoffs, and they handled both of them relatively easily. You can kind of put an asterisk, I guess, next to that Warriors series because they only had Steph for like half a game, but they still handled business and handled it in a very convincing manner. So I'll say Wolves slightly ahead, but both teams have been impressive, and you know, that pains me to say about the Pacers. But both teams have been impressive in this playoff run. But I think the bigger surprise from the start of the playoffs will be the Wolves just because of who they had to go through.
Yeah, I had the Wolves as well. And even just thinking about what I perceive this team to be and their ceiling to be to start the season. And I was like, I don't know about this trade. Julius Randle didn't give you what Cat gave you. I don't see the fit. Do like Dante, but everything else I wasn't too crazy about. And as the season played out early on, they struggled to really find that chemistry and that rhythm with Carlton Towns gone, Julius Randle on the court next to Gobert with Ant. And once they started to pick things up, it started to roll. And I did have some concerns about playoff Julius Randle, but he been hooping. He has been hooping. So the Wolves are my surprise for sure. And I think in large part because I quickly realized just how good that Pacers team is. They are very good, y'all. They are a very good team. I'm
a hater, so I'm gonna say like they've met a bunch of hurt teams, but
they did. But you can only play who's in front of you. And even in those games against the Cavs, with the injuries the Cavs had, the Pacers were never favored. So they did their job. And since we're recording this Tuesday night, first the Western Conference Finals is starting before the Eastern Conference, which was strange to me given that the Western Conference Finals went 7. But nonetheless, that's the first series. So let's start with the Minnesota OKC series and talk about that one since that tip-off is in about an hour. So people can't say we were swayed by the game in any way and how we're predicting for this to go. Who was your X factor in the Minnesota OKC series?
Reverse Uno. Who's your X factor?
Okay, reverse Uno. I'm gonna go with Julius Randle and Jalen Williams, J-Dub, which comes down to me is like which team's second option is going to be able to show up most consistently because, like I mentioned, Julius Randle was hooping throughout the playoffs. He really did his thing against the Warriors. I saw Draymond make mention of the fact that, well, I got to be real. Like, I just got beat in my matchup. Like, Julius Randle was better than me throughout that series. Tip my cap to him. I'm like, yeah, he was efficient, doing everything he had to do. And then on the other side, you have J-Dub, who was a first-time All-Star this year, someone who the Thunder really depended on, and he didn't show up in quite a few games against the Nuggets. When he did show up, it looked a lot different for him. So my question going into this one is like, between Randle and J-Dub, who can show up most consistently for their team? Because I think that's going to tell a big story.
Yeah, I think by that logic, I will also go with Jalen Williams. More so because they need him. Like, they really
Oh, J Will?
Sorry, J-Dub.
Okay.
The one you were talking about. I used his government. Yes. I think that he is the X factor because if he is a consistent, like, secondary initiator, like not even necessarily like from a scoring standpoint, but if he's just somebody that they can rely on to kind of run offense, like, and it's not just Shea, like that unlocks so much for them. But not only was he not efficient as a scorer in that last series, like he wasn't even kind of like a threat for the most part. So he didn't change the way that Denver had to guard him. If even if the shot isn't falling, if he can kind of find ways to like get into the paint and like just put pressure on the defense, like that unlocks so much for Oklahoma City. So it's like if he's back to even close to what his regular season form is, that changes kind of the trajectory of the series for me. So I think that makes him a big X factor.
Yeah, couldn't agree more with that. And even thinking about like how he gets a lot of his points too, like if they can get turnovers that he can get out and run, like he's going to normally be that lead guy out there getting those easy buckets. And that brings me to the thing for me to watch in this series with the Thunder and the Wolves, which is like defense and turnovers, in the sense of, for defense, this is about to be Rudy Gobert's toughest defensive matchup so far the entire postseason. And even with that, he had like the one dominant game against the Lakers. He hasn't been bad or anything like that, but he hasn't been anything that you like point to and like, oh yeah, it's Gobert. So the defense is going to be a question for them, especially with how much that OKC likes to drive too. So he's going to be tested continuously if they're going to be at the point of attack. And then the turnovers piece, like I mentioned, OKC's defense, they just generate a lot of turnovers, and the Wolves can be loose with that basketball. So if the Wolves do not take care of the basketball, it is going to be free chicken for OKC throughout the entire game. What about you? What do you think is the thing to watch in this series?
I don't know if I've mentioned it in like our series previews to this point, but I think that a lot of and like this, the smallest possible sample size, but it burned something in my brain. Like so much of I think the way that I look at OKC is colored by that NBA Cup Finals where the Bucks size just overwhelmed them. And again, like going back to my last point, that was a game where Jalen Williams wasn't really like a secondary guy, and it was just like they really lack creation. So for me, it's kind of looking at how does Oklahoma City combat the size across the lineup for Minnesota, because like, yes, the starting front line is all 6'9", 6'10" plus. Then you have Nars Reed off the bench. Like Dante and Naw are like their backup backcourt, and both of them are 6'4" plus. Like there's just so much size across the board. There isn't really, like, Mike Conley's like 6'1", but he's smart as hell. He was on the green grind Memphis teams. So like he has a history of playing bigger than he is. So it's just like, how do they handle that size? And granted, they didn't have Chet in that game that I'm talking about, like the NBA Cup final. So that has changed things. But again, like Chet is probably lighter than I am. So it's kind of like he has the length, and obviously he's a dominant defender, but just the sheer size. Like I'm just imagining, Julius Randle putting his shoulder into a couple of those guys, and they're going to go flying. Granted, if they officiate the smaller OKC defenders like they did in Game 7, like maybe the size is kind of negated because like they let Caruso get away with murder on Jokic, and it's like.
And as a Bucks fan, we seen that with Giannis. Marcus Smart used to get away with everything when he was trying to check Giannis. So it's not the first time I've seen something like that. But if they don't call it that way, especially with Lou Dort being who I'm going to assume is going to have that matchup primarily, and if they let him play, like it can get really interesting. There's two teams that play some really physical defense, but the Thunder, as we saw, when they start to swarm and the turnovers start happening, it can be an avalanche that happens really, really quick. I see Shylon popped into the comments. He said, "What's good, fam? Dynamic duo in the building." You know. But yeah, I'm excited for OKC and Minnesota. And Minnesota's been surprising all throughout the playoffs. I did have them winning against the Warriors in the second round. I had them losing in the first round though against the Lakers. But who do you have in the Western Conference Finals heading to the NBA Finals to represent the West?
I got Minnesota in 6.
I'm
still like that. Game 7 was impressive to a degree, although you have Michael Porter Jr. with half a shoulder, you have Aaron Gordon with his hamstring falling off the bone, you have an interim coach. Like there's no way that game that series should have been even remotely that close. But they did what they had to do in Game 7. So like that, at least maybe that's a mental hurdle for them to get over. But like I'm still like they've been shaky. Like even in like they swept Memphis in round 1, but like even then, like it wasn't like this dominant performance. Like I wasn't impressed. So like the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the reps that Minnesota has logged in these playoffs, last year's playoff run, like I just have more faith in them as a team. Like we said it after the trade, well, at least I said it after the trade happened. Like I don't know who won or lost this trade, but I feel like both teams make a lot more sense now than their previous iterations. So it's like things have kind of slotted in and like kind of coalesced for Minnesota in a way over the last 2 to 3 months. Like even going back to the regular season, like they've been playing really well, and like they've lost 2, 3. They've lost 2 or 3 games in the playoffs. They were rolling coming in. Like they're a team that's been more impressive to me. And again, like those size concerns, I think are kind of weighing heavily for me. So I got Minnesota at 6. It's kind of weird that we haven't mentioned Shea and Ant like pretty much at all. I guess it's kind of like you know what you're going to get from the two of them, but I can also see like Ant seems like the type to kind of like take things personally. So it's like, Shea is probably going to get the MVP at some point. I mean, eventually they have to give the MVP award. Like it's kind of weird that we haven't gotten it yet. But I would imagine that Shea gets it during this series, which may just put an extra battery in his back too.
Now, I will say that my dream finals matchup would be Wolves-Knicks with the trade. Like the storylines are all there for it. That's what I would like to see. But I think OKC comes out on top in this series. I'm going Thunder in 6 in this series, in large part because OKC is uniquely equipped to really try to take Anthony Edwards out the game. And again, he is a star. He is going to be ready for the stage. He was there last year. He didn't get to make it to the finals. I know this team is motivated to try to get to the NBA finals. I think it's going to be a really good series, but Lou Dort, if the refs really are letting them play, he is going to be really, really tough to shake off because he can fight over screens really well. And if you do get a switch, like there's no weak link on OKC side where you get there and you're like, all right, like I'm about to go to work. This is what I'm hunting for. Like you can try to hunt Chet if you want to, but he's also 7 feet and he can move decent. And if he can't get there, he has the length to still try to bother your shot. So that matched with the question of like, if they are able to take Ant out the game, then where are the points coming from? And I don't know how much I trust Julius Randle, even though he has been hooping so far. This is a different type of defense they can throw at him. And they're going to need a lot more from Dante DiVincenzo. He has not shot the ball well in the playoffs after shooting the ball fairly well in the regular season. So if that doesn't turn for them with OKC's length and ability to just get those takeovers and run, I'm going with the Thunder because I think they'll be able to force the Wolves into more bad decisions and the Wolves can force them into bad decisions. Now, if the Thunder's role guys aren't making shots, it's all Wolves. It's all Wolves. So it'll be a fun one.
Yeah, for sure. Agreed.
Let's head to the East. Or before we do that, Shaolin did say he has OKC for the chip. He said you don't care who coming out the East. It is the Thunder's title to lose. Okay, we're gonna see. Eastern Conference. The Indiana Pacers are back in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they are playing against the New York Knicks, a team that has not been there since 2000. Patrick Ewing was still in that last playoff team that made it to the conference finals. It's crazy. That's crazy.
Like he was like because he got injured during the playoffs. I remember that because like they had Marcus Camby starting. But yes, a long ass time ago. Charles Allen Houston, Charlie Ward, Chris Childs. Who else was on that team? I think Kurt Thomas was on that team. Marcus Camby, like I said, like that was a long time ago, quarter of a century. So
yeah, 2000 was a long time ago. A long time ago. So let's start here. Who is your X factor in the Pacers-Knicks series?
Is Cat too important to be an X factor?
I don't think so. I think that's a great answer.
Because, like, I think, like, it was kind of telling how. I mean, like, it was easy to do, so I understand why they did it. But it was so telling how much of Boston's strategy was get Mitchell Robinson off the court because we want Karl Anthony Towns in at center as much as possible because like that's our easiest pathway to easy buckets at the rim. Mm-hmm. And if there's any team that's going to exploit getting into the paint to kick out to shooters, it is this Indiana Pacers team. So if he can't hold up defensively, it's going to be a long ass series for the New York Knicks. Although can I just get myself back for a minute? Like I get it from a strategy standpoint. I understand it. It's much like, foul up 3 at the end of the game. But from an entertainment standpoint, I hate hacking. Like, yes, make your free throws. I get it. But again, from an entertainment standpoint, which is the whole reason that we're here is to be entertained, like get that shit out of the game. Like
you ain't wrong. It's not fun to watch. It's not fun.
No.
I get the strategy. It makes sense, but it is not fun to watch. I do think your point about Karl Anthony Towns being an X factor for the Knicks makes a lot of sense too, because he killed the Pacers in the regular season in their matchups as well. And like I mentioned for Gobert, when we were talking about the Thunder and the Wolves, this is about to be Miles Turner's toughest matchup of the playoffs so far. No disrespect to Brook Lopez, but that was not a series for him against the Pacers. Jared Allen does not stretch the floor in the same way that Karl Anthony Towns can. So like if he can be knocking down those threes, if he can be active defensively, it's going to be a big thing because he switched a lot in that Celtics series. And at some points he was getting cooked, but in other times it was like, you're moving okay. You holding your own here. And we'll see how that continues to shake out for them going forward. So that's a good one because my X factor, I said the Knicks bigs. So you cover Karl Anthony Towns, but Mitchell Robinson, more specifically for me, because of how he was able to come into that game in that series against the Celtics and really just dominate on the glass in limited time, but he did his role well, playing defense, getting rebounds, second chance opportunities, being able to scramble out to the perimeter if there is a switch or he needs to help. Just fantastic defense from him. And I wonder, with the way that the Pacers push the pace after misses, even when you make it, I do wonder how that offensive rebound thing fits into this, because if they're going for these boards but they're not getting them, you're just going to fuel the Pacers' attack and they're just going to take off and run. But the Knicks got Mitchell Robinson. They have Josh Hart, guys who really do like to crash those boards. So Mitchell Robinson, if he can find his way on the court and be the defensive presence that he was against the Celtics, that is going to help out the Knicks so much, because he was somebody who did not play in any of the regular season matchups against the Pacers. So he can be a guy who comes in and really changes the story for him.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the way he moved his feet specifically, like on switches. Like I think it might have been Peyton Pritchard. There's somebody in one of the games where it just like stuck out, like he was step for step with him. I think he wound up fouling him at the end of the possession, but it was just impressive because like he was doing like that little, it was Pritchard, and he was doing like that little dance on the baseline, like the up and under, like was trying everything, could not shake him, and then finally went like under the basket, and then Robinson went for a steal instead of a block, and he fucked it up. But like the movement with his feet was the impressive part. And again, going back to that Bucks series where it was obvious to everybody except for Doc Rivers apparently that Jericho Sims was the center that you needed in that series to be able to move his field, Bobby too. But like between like the Brook type versus the Jericho Sims, like the Jericho Sims guys, one that you need, and obviously Mitchell Robinson is more on that end than kind of a plotting, just stationary rim protector like Brook. So. Yeah, like obviously I co-sign everything because I also picked a Knicks big, but yeah, I think that's a good point about needing switchable guys, and like the wings on the Knicks, all of them can play up. So like if you do need to downsize size wise, like that's the thing that kind of stands out to me about the Pacers and the Wolves. Both, I don't remember if I made that point. I think I put it somewhere in the doc. But just like having much more versatility than I realized coming into the playoffs. Like obviously, like they have their kind of standard lineups, but they also have a lot of guys that can play a lot of different positions and can throw out, so many different combinations to kind of fit the needs of what they're doing. It's like if we need to go really small, we can do that because we have wings that can kind of slide up. If we need to go really big, we have wings and forwards that can kind of slide down and run, So that versatility has been really impressive to me. And I think that's one of the most underrated attributes to successful teams in the playoffs is like how many different ways can you be effective? And those two teams specifically are, like at the top of the list.
Yeah, you got to be able to throw out different pitches throughout the playoffs. If you can only play one way, you're probably not going to make it long because the matchups will determine a lot. So you need to be able to be versatile enough to meet whatever's in front of you. And we'll have a lot of time to talk about it throughout the offseason here, but that's why like the path forward for the Bucks, where it's like if you can find these guys to put around Giannis, and with how the East is shaping out with the injuries, the Tatum and Boston and the Cavs flaming out a bit earlier, and then everything happening, like you can put together a team that could be scrappy enough to at least compete. Not saying for a championship, but you can get in the playoffs and see what happens from there. But this is not about the Bucks right now. They at home. We're talking about the teams that's still playing. So
I think that's a good point to kind of highlight with all these teams. Like granted, Minnesota and Indiana were here last year, but like we really are reaching a point of parity where it's close to the NFL, where it's just like you just need to be a contender and then things break right for you in the playoffs. Like I'm not gonna say the days of dynasties are over, but the rules and the CBA stuff that the NBA has implemented over the last 10 to 15 years have all been geared towards getting us to this point where year in and year out, you don't necessarily know who's going to be standing at the end of it, because like you can't keep teams together. You can't just pay for, keep footing the bill and keep just incurring penalties. Like you have to be very intentional about your team building and get lucky with injuries, and you have, like, and catch the right matchups. Like, there's no dominant team to fight, despite the fact that we had 2 or 3 65 plus win teams this year.
3.
Like, 2 of them are home already. So
Yeah.
it's like, and one was, in the game 7 in round 2. So there is important to be, like, I think the most important thing is having your star, which is why you don't just trade them away.
Facts.
But having your star as your anchor and then building the team around them and to be as flexible as possible, both financially and on the floor.
Yeah, and I think too, and it's really interesting to think about this, and maybe we can talk about this once the finals pass, but just how the league is changing in that way, because I agree with you on the windows are so much shorter now for championship teams with the way the CBA is designed. And I mentioned it last year where I was like, I think that this is going to make teams invest a bit more in player development, where the rookies, the two-way contracts, those become even more valuable, and teams are really trying to develop these guys even more than what they were in past years, where some teams were like, we are only focused on winning right now. And I don't know if that formula is going to be conductive in the long term with just all the restrictions that happen once you hit the first and second apron. But we can talk about that later, because the way the playoffs have gone to with kind of teams that are still here, like the makeup of team chemistry, it's all really interesting to me. But back to the Pacers and the Knicks. What do you think is the thing to watch for in this series?
It's kind of not atypical. What's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of like obvious, but also it's pace. It's the pace that both of these teams play with. And it's like, yeah, they're both high-paced teams. So it's like, well, how is that important? Like, we know it's going to be a fast series, but the Knicks only go 7 deep. And, 7.5 if you want to count like campaign every once in a while. Like, and like, granted, like, their starters are pretty much Iron Men, and like they play heavy minutes all year. So they're conditioned at the very least. But Indiana can go so much deeper into their bench, and they can run out all bench lineups and not really skip a beat. So it's like, if this is a track meet, all 7 games, or all games of the series, like, can the Knicks withstand that? Because we saw last year when these two teams played each other in the second round, like, by the end of it, the Knicks barely could field the team because, like, they were so broken down. So yeah, like Charlotte said, whichever team's gas doesn't run out will make the finals. Like, that's essentially it.
Yeah, and that's fair, because the Pacers even call the way that they play, they call it the wear it down effect, where they play fast and they have a lot of bodies they can put in the game so that their top guys don't have to, stay with those minutes. So on your point about pace being important, I mentioned the transition. Like, that's going to be a big part of what the Pacers look to do. Normally you say, like, the playoffs slow down. The Pacers, like, we don't want to slow down at all. If anything, we want to get faster as the playoffs are going on. So they try to wear you down. And they like to play transition. I mentioned the rebounding and how that is going to be interesting to me, because the Knicks love to crash the glass. The Pacers like to get out and run. So that's going to be an interesting battle. And on top of that, the Pacers are not a great rebounding team. The Knicks tend to be a bit stronger in that area. But even outside of that, to the point about just depth, that's another piece for me where I'm like, I'm watching how this plays. Like, depth versus the top tier talent. I wonder if this is the series finally for the Pacers where we can't go 10 deep anymore because we're not able to win those minutes. Like, if I remember correctly, I don't believe any Pacers player is averaging over 20 points in the playoffs. I think they're all under 20, but they have like 5, 6, maybe 7 guys that are averaging in double figures. Probably like 6, I think. I think I'm 7 in regular season, like 6 now. But that's their strength is in numbers. And I do wonder if at some point in the series, does that wear out? And they're going to have to tax their starting group a bit more just to keep up, because it's not going to be much time for Mitchell Robinson or Deuce McBride off the bench. And when they do get in the game, like, they know their roles really well. And outside of that, it's just like, can the Knicks be serious consistently enough throughout the game? Because we saw at times against Boston where you're like, what are y'all doing? On defense, y'all not talking, y'all getting beat. It's real sloppy. And then you see like a game 6 performance where they just shut everything down, like 4 quarters of flawless basketball. So It's going to count on people who we talked about, Mitchell Robinson, Karl-Anthony Towns. And on the Pacers side, I do wonder the Brunson matchup, because Nembhard tried that last year in the playoffs and he was getting cooked. Jalen Brunson tends to like being able to play against like-sized players because he can use his strength and his craftiness in that way. So I do wonder if Nesmith gets that matchup. But if Nembhard can't check Brunson, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
It's going to be a problem. All right. Pacers or Knicks, who you got, and then how many games?
Knicks in 6.
I went back and forth for a while on this one. I really think this Pacers team is good. I think this is a series that goes 7. I think the Pacers are going to be able to stress the Knicks defense in a way that it has not been stressed so far in the playoffs with how much they move the ball. Halliburton is really, really good at seeing the help coming and making the skip passes. Like, they move the ball really well, and it's going to require the Knicks to be set solid. And I had some questions about to be able to do that, but ultimately I'm going Knicks in 7. I think it's a coin flip series. When it gets down to 7, 50-50 shot at it. And I think the Knicks come out on top just from the top end talent. And overall, I think the rebounding goes in the Knicks' favor to at least buy them some extra possessions against the Pacers. So I'm going Knicks in 7. Shaolin got Pacers in 7. I respect it. This is really a coin flip series to me. I'm excited about it. So
I think last week I called the Pacers. Well, I didn't call them this, but I essentially called them Muhammad Ali, where I think they just rope-a-dope you, where it's like they'll not necessarily play possum for the first 3 quarters, but like they run you to gas you, and then when you don't have anything else left in the tank, like that's when they kind of turn it up. So again, like, are the Knicks well conditioned enough to kind of withstand that? Because they also had really big comebacks of their own in the first round, so maybe it's a similar kind of strategy. But yeah, there was something that you said that kind of sparked that. But yeah, to your point, I think it is a bit of a toss up. I think my hater side is just like, I can't pick the Pacers, so I hope that they lose in 6. And like you said, like I'm kind of rooting for, just for storyline reasons, the Knicks and the Wolves and meeting up in the finals, which would be just very frustrating for me as a Bucks fan, because when they made the trade, I'm like, coming from experience, I don't know about making potential trades like right before the season starts, and then both these teams, as of now, have made the conference finals, potentially making the finals. Boston won the championship last year. Like, of the 4 teams that have done that in the last 2 years, only one has had trouble. So that's annoying.
Hey, the Bucks got the good luck when we traded for Jrue Holiday championship the first year. So sometimes it happens. It just didn't work as well the second go around with Dame. But hey, life is what it is, Eric. It is what it is. As we wrap up, I do want to say this. We briefly mentioned it before, but I could not believe that Aaron Gordon went out there with the grade 2 hamstring pull and played in game 7. He was clearly not himself. They played a lot of zone with him out there to try to keep him out of actions and let him just guard a space more so than being active. But just shout out to him, because I wouldn't have done it. I've been working out consistently since this month started, and my hamstring is tight. I would be like, nope, I ain't got it. Sorry, boss. Nope, can't do it. So shout out to him, because I don't know if I'll be able to do it.
Like, I bring this up when they're like starting quarterbacks that like don't practice all week, and then they get shot up essentially to play the game. And I'm just like, how do you feel as the backup, where they're like, we would rather have this dude at like 40% than have you at 100? Like, pride wise, I would be a little bit wounded. But if I was like Zeke Naji or somebody, where it's like,
I couldn't take these minutes too, man. Like, come on. We were going to discuss NFL schedules, but without Ken and Tim, we're going to save that till next week, because I do want to get the Bears fans' perspective on their schedule and just how all of this is shaking out too, because it's one of those years for the NFC North where you're going to have tough interdivisional games, because the NFC North is playing the AFC North and the NFC East. And that's going to be tough. So we'll save that for next week. But I do want to just make mention of the fact that it was approved today. The the NFL will allow players to play flag football at the 2028 Olympics.
Until the first dude blows out his knee. Not going to do it.
They have all these different rules put in place of like what happens in injury. Like they have like injury insurance and all this other stuff if guys are doing it. But I think that's going to be fun. 5-on-5 flag football, rosters of 12 players. Travis Hunter, he better get ready because I'm sure America's going to be like, we need as many two-way players as we can get. Come on. Tyreek Hill, come on. Let's see what we can do. But the way the NFL is even stacked up, I don't even think they'll need like the top end talent in the NFL. If you can just get the guys who are versatile,
they just get a bunch of special teams, the aces, and like a
pretty much. I think they'll be all right. Get like Lamar Jackson as your quarterback. Get someone who can run. Like you'll be all right. Quarterback should be the most splashy position, and after that,
I'm just imagining like when the dream team had to play like Sudan or something, and it was just like, why are we on the same court? Like that's just like, if I was from somebody from like Nicaragua or something like that, we qualify for the Olympics. I'd be like, you tell me I got a Tyreek Hill, Travis Hunter, Lamar Jackson, like what?
Jamar Gibbs.
Like I just learned how to play football. Like I don't even know the rules. Like what are we doing?
They did say any NFL players that have international roots or want to play for a different country, they're eligible to do so as well. So there could be some NFL players on some other international teams, but that USA team is going to be stacked. And flag football is fun. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Shaolin added that lubrication on them knees is pivotal.
Man, who you telling? My knee is still clicking from the NFL draft.
I was just about to say, how was your knee? That 40-yard dash was not kind to your knees there. So
no. And then I think standing on it for an additional like 2-3 hours was not wise. But
yeah, after that, because we were standing a lot before that too. Like my little Apple rings was all around on that day. I think we had like 15,000 steps that day.
I believe it. Yeah, all right. I only this week I've finally been able to like walk down the stairs without significant pain. So
that's crazy. That's crazy.
The next time I get the bright idea to do anything athletic, I give permission to anybody that's around me to just punch me in the face. Like that is preferable to what I've been dealing with the last couple of weeks. Like it's
or
not
be like, hey man, just take it easy. What happened to you? You saw that you were up with Tim at the beginning, so you were like, okay, let me put the burners on. You had to be like me.
This car don't get out of gear no more. Like I have one speed. Like if that's not good enough, I'm not good enough. That's just what it is.
I jogged. I
don't turn it on no more.
I slipped and I said, oh no, we gonna jog this out. I don't even care. I'm jogging. I ain't getting hurt. All right, let's talk some wrestling. Some people who was that on Raw who got hurt yesterday? Zoey Stark. Did you see that? I hope she's all right. That did not. Speaking of knees, that did not look good. So I'm hoping that she's all right. But
and I just want to say, I like her. Like she's still like character wise and microphone wise, she's still got some work to do. But like I see like the makings there of something. So it really sucks that she is probably going to be out for a while. But hopefully that gives her time to kind of work on the other stuff and come back fresh.
I would agree with that. So I just want to talk quickly about Saturday night main event coming up this weekend. 4 matches on the card, and now I know what to expect from these events. Saturday night's main event is like, I don't want to say it's Sunday Night Heat, but it's like SmackDown or something like that.
Glorified house show.
Yeah. But the card is actually pretty interesting for this one, the 4-card match. We have Jey Uso defending his World Heavyweight Championship against Logan Paul. We got CM Punk and Sami Zayn versus Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker. We got Cena versus R-Truth in a non-title match. Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre in a steel cage. Which of those 4 matches are you most excited about? And what's up to Jay-Z in the comments we see?
I think tag match. If Cena Truth was for the title, I would be. Well, I mean, like I guess this opens up more possibilities. But like if that was for a title, I'll be a little bit more intrigued. But I have a feeling that one way or another, the third man of like the Seth Braun Breaker group is going to be revealed that night.
Mhm.
So I look forward to seeing like where they're going with that storyline. R-Truth and Cena, I don't think will be a good match. Like it should probably be entertaining, but like I don't know how much either one of them really has,
Yeah.
ring wise. But it should be interesting at least.
Yeah, and it should, I think, further some. I'm still like, where's R-Truth fit in all of this? But we're gonna see how it flips out for me. Let me say this.
Oh shit, Mark is here.
What up, Mark? He said the Wolves going to win. We gonna see. We gonna see. Eric agrees with you. I think it's gonna be the Thunder, but we will see. I want to say this too. Jay Uso, he feels like a main eventer. Like he just feels real big time right now. And I know a lot of people were on the internet typing about how they hate Jay Uso and this and this and this and that, but he looks like a champion and he's carrying himself like one. He has the aura. Like shout out to Jay Uso. Shaolin himself said that he dislikes himself for it, but he's always up to watch Logan Paul cook.
That's fair. He's like Mello. He don't miss. No, like for sure. Like Jay Uso is the clearest example of the internet wrestling community not knowing what the fuck they be talking about. Like he, like every time he comes out, people go crazy. Like people are invested in his matches. People are invested in his stories. Like I don't know what else you want. You want him to do Hurricane Ranas and do flippy shit around the ring like that. If every wrestler did all that stuff, you wouldn't care because you need variety. You need different styles. You need different things to kind of keep the show fresh. Like honestly, if you want to watch just flippy shit in every single match, go watch AEW. Like that, it's right there. Like just go enjoy that. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like it is world wrestling entertainment. So the entertainment is a big part of what they do. And from an entertainment standpoint, like Jey Uso got it.
He really do. He really do. But I'm looking forward to seeing the steel cage match. I always like cage matches, and it feels like this will probably be the end to the Priest McIntyre feud. They and every time they get together, they put on some entertaining matches. That street fight, entertaining. Would watch again, and now we get a steel cage match. So I'm looking forward to that on the card for Saturday, like a little birthday gift, a little birthday wrestling for me this weekend. So hopefully it is not Sunday Night Heat. Hopefully it's like Raw after WrestleMania levels of entertainment when it comes to the in-ring product. But what's on your bird this week for WWE?
Where the fuck is Cody Rhodes?
Resting.
I mean, I get it, but like it's from a storyline perspective, like there's just been like silence since WrestleMania. So I'm curious, and I'm still curious to know like what you think, but it was more of like kind of a group project that I'd envision, where it's like, let's book Cody's return. Like, how would we have Cody come back and to be like the most impactful or to set up something?
Well, let me ask you this. When do you think Cody will return? Because to me, it feels like it has to be around a big four. Like, it doesn't feel like it's going to be Money in the Bank or anything like that. It feels like it would have to be like SummerSlam or like the lead up to SummerSlam.
Well, let's see. Roman came back at SummerSlam last year. So I doubt they will push it that long. Like, I would imagine he has a match at SummerSlam. I actually do. Let me check it, because like, when is Money in the Bank now?
June 7th, I believe it is. Like, I know it's like in a couple of weeks because they're having qualifying matches now. I'm pretty sure it's the 7th.
It is the 7th. And then SummerSlam isn't until like the first week of August.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, are they doing King of? Not that I expect you to know this, but like, are they doing King of the Ring again this year? Because like last year they did it, and that was pretty cool. That people essentially like punched their ticket to a title match, but it seems like we're just not gonna have that this year.
I haven't seen it unless they're planning to do that tournament at one of the Saudi Arabia shows, but it hasn't been talked about as its own thing.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like with the new regime, like they're kind of changing the schedule around where like you used to be able to be like, okay, this month is this pay-per-view, this month is this pay-per-view, and like how kind of the schedule goes from year to year. Like now things are just kind of like all out of like every 2 weeks it feels like we got a big show.
Yeah, Shaolin said he thinks it's a Saudi show, and then Mark added that Cody is seething. Cody probably sitting somewhere like, man, I had a long year carrying this company on my back. I'm about to enjoy this little vacation before I get back to it. But it's interesting to think about when he does come back, what's the feud?
He has to come back and address Cena. Like he can't just come back and be like, oh well, I lost my title, I'm gonna go feud with Drew McIntyre now. Like he has to. I did see somebody throw out an idea. Sorry, go ahead.
Do you think there's a world where we actually don't see Cody back until it's time for him to take the belt back off of Cena? If that's who takes the belt off of Cena, unless Cena does walk out champ, and that match could be against Cody again, where it's like, I'm coming back, I'm saving wrestling, I'm not gonna let you destroy it, woo, and then, but you can't bring Cody back to lose. So like,
what I just thought about, like when you think a little bit more on you asking me like, who does he come, like what brings him back? He actually does have somebody else that he owes an ass whooping to. Do they bring him back for a Travis Scott match?
Him and Bad Bunny against Travis Scott and
Cena.
You pick.
It would probably be Cena, right? And then that leads into their one-on-one. Like he pinned Cena in that match, and that leads to their one-on-one. I mean, I'll be here for it.
That could do it. I mean, he owes him. I don't think that finisher at WrestleMania was enough for getting his eardrum bust or whatever happened to him before Elimination Chamber.
I think I've heard that Travis Scott is training in the ring. So
I've heard that too. So call up Bad Bunny. Let's get us a spectacle of a match here. Shaolin said that Cody Orton would be fired.
I wouldn't be mad there, but
you said you ain't here for Cody and
no, I said I don't know how we get there. Like they're both on the same kind of side of things.
That's fair. Yeah, it'll be. I'm sure Ken would have a lot of ideas about his boy Cody because we know how he is about Cody. He probably don't even watch wrestling right now because his boy is on TV. Missing Cody.
Yeah, he'd be really upset if he actually listened when he's not on the show.
But he don't. He won't. He won't know what we said this week.
Ken, if you hear this, I will give you $5.
You got to call it though. You got to call it on the show next week. When E's not here, I need you to be like, I heard it. I want my $5. And that will be the test to see if Ken actually listens to episodes that he is not on. But do you have any other wrestling thoughts as we get ready to wrap? We did great on time. A shorter episode this week, but the Western Conference Finals game is ready to start in about 15 minutes here. Well, it's on ESPN, probably like 25 minutes. They never really start on time, which I could blow the whistle. NBA, tell us what time the games really start. Stop saying a 7:30 tip-off time when the game does not actually start until 7:42. Please be more like the NFL in that sense, where you start the games at the time you say it's going to start. NFL says noon. You turn that TV on at 12:01, and the football is in the air. They are not playing games. Stop lying about the start times, NBA.
And it's only ESPN. Well, not only like TNT, but like TNT pretty much starts within like 5-ish minutes. Like they give you a little, here are the keys to the game, and then we're tipping. But ESPN, like that's what time, like basically their pregame show starts, and then they, Stephen A. Smith has to talk for 10-15 minutes.
Oh my gosh, it's just get it together
and say something ignorant.
To the TNT point, I do believe I saw that Reggie Miller is on the call for the Eastern Conference Finals, and that is just chef's kiss because Reggie in the Garden with his history with the Knicks, like if y'all haven't read what's Blood in the Garden, go back, watch the 30 for 30. I think was that Winning Time? I forget the name of that particular 30 for 30 with the Pacers.
Blood in the Garden one. No, that was the Winning Time.
Winning Time. Yeah. Go and watch them before the games kick off tomorrow. Or you probably can't read a whole book before that, but find some on YouTube or something. Just go through the history of those two franchises. It's fantastic. And Reggie Miller being there, I hope that when he's in New York, he's with the Pacers most of the time, because we've seen Pacers fans already getting assaulted in New York.
ESPN or NBA employees, Brian Windhorst.
Him too. He's getting stuff thrown at him. So Reggie, keep it cool while you in New York. You are not going to be liked much there. So keep it cool while you in New York.
Spike sits near.
But that's the show for this week. We will be back next week with more NBA talk, some wrestling, some NFL talk. So make sure y'all tune back in. Appreciate y'all for tuning in this week. As a reminder, make sure you follow us on our various social media platforms at Technical File, TECKNICL. That's right, TECKNICALFOUL on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. Technical File Podcast on Facebook and YouTube. And if you are looking for me to follow, you can catch me on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, PSN, and at Camille Monet, CAMILLEMONAE.
That's all you get. Or no, that's what you say to me. I just realized it's our anniversary.
It is. We've been doing this, and we're here to celebrate. So
we don't show up to work.
Celebration. Because
8 years to us. We did it.
You went through a pandemic.
We do have episode 400 coming up, so I think that'll be like our big blowout celebration show.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that, I guess, in 2 months. But yeah, at Bucks Burner on Twitter.
That's all you get. For Tim, it's at Tim Kins, TIMKINZ, the number 3. For Ken, it is K Harris 216 everywhere, Instagram, and he is everyday_gentleman on Instagram, I believe. Maybe not. All right, so that's the episode for this week. We hope y'all enjoyed it. Shaolin said, happy anniversary, fam. Episode 400 is going to be crazy. We're going to have to plan something real special for 400. We got about 9 weeks to do that. So we'll have something for y'all that'll be definitely worth the watch. So appreciate y'all, and we'll catch y'all next week. Yeah, let's just play that music.
Hit him hard. Let's go. That TECK, running back.